Hello everyone, if you don't know me already, I'm Tara, the dance doctor. Welcome to my channel. In today's lesson, I'm going to be giving a twerk tutorial all about movements that we do kneeling on the ground. If you have not already watched my first and second twerk tutorials, I recommend that you do that before watching this video because all the movements that we're going to do in this video are included in those. The only difference in today's is a little bit more advanced because we're doing it kneeling on the ground. So I'll put a link to the first one right now in the corner. So like I said, go ahead and watch that if you haven't already. And now without further ado, let's get into twerking on the ground. Okay, we are going to be doing 5 different movements today. I want to start just by talking about the position first. So obviously we are on our shins. And if you find that it's difficult on your knees or on your legs, feel free to put a towel or a pillow underneath you. The other thing is about how wide the knees are going to be. So you want to angle your knees outward, and you can either be sitting on your heels, or if it's comfortable for you, you can open the knees a little bit more and kind of get your butt between your heels. So those are 2 options, and it really just depends on your own personal comfort. Obviously, the further you open your hips, the more strain it's going to put on your hip flexors. But I do think that it has more of a visual effect as far as our movement goes. So it's really up to you. During this class, because we're going to be doing this for a while, I do recommend that you just do whatever is most comfortable for you at this moment. Okay, so let's get into our first movement, which looks like this. We're gonna go 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. Okay, so this movement I covered standing up in my second twerk tutorial, and all we are doing is we are lifting one side of the pelvis and dropping the other, and then alternating back and forth. So just try that first. So you're going to use your obliques now to crunch, 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 drop, crunch, drop, crunch, drop, crunch, drop. And I'll do that facing away. We go crunch, drop, crunch, drop, crunch, drop, crunch. So you're getting kind of a pendulum effect in the hips. And it does help also to kind of push into the ground of the shin, of the side that I'm trying to push up. That can kind of help me. So I'm pushing into my right shin to lift the right side of my hip, and then I switch and switch and switch. Okay? I'll do that again. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to do that in the 1 and 2, 3 and 4 rhythm. So we go 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. Okay? So let's try that one with music. So we're going to start half time and then we'll go real time. Ready? We go. 1, 2, 3. Real time. Okay, so moving on to our second movement, we are going to be doing a segmented hip circle. Okay, so that looks like this. I'm going to go back, side, forward, side. back, side, forward, side, back, side, forward, side, back, side, forward, side. Again, I'm really using the pressure into my shins to help me with this. Although technically, because the position is a little less comfortable, these movements are more advanced, but I actually find these movements to be easier when I'm sitting on the ground because I don't have to focus on kind of immobilizing my legs. They're already inherently immobile, and so it's easier to focus on isolating the pelvis, okay? So you can go whichever direction feels more comfortable to you. For me, that is doing my circle to the right. And so I'm going to push into my shins, and I'm going to tilt my pelvis forward to get the visual effect of it going up and back. So I'm just tilting my pelvis forward. So a good way to get this movement to feel more natural and kind of feel where it's coming from is you can do what's like a cat and cow without including the upper spine. So I'm just doing pelvic tilt on all fours. So if I were doing a normal cat and cow, I would include my entire spine, but because I'm trying to feel the pelvis only, I can just isolate the pelvis. Okay, so that's a really good exercise to do for this movement. So let's just start with that. On our knees now, going tilt the pelvis forward, tilt it back. Tilt it forward, tilt it back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? And the first movement we did was side to side, so we already practiced that movement. So now we're just going to combine the two. So we're going to go back, side, forward, side. Tilting the pelvis forward to the side, to actually tilting the pelvis back and side. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So now let's try that hip circle with music. So the third and fourth movements that we're going to do are the same movement, but with different emphasis, okay? So we're going to do down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And then we're also going to go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. This is the same movement that we did in the last one when I had you do cat and cow, just isolating the pelvis. It's the same exact thing. Now we are just playing with the rhythm that we can use within that movement. So obviously, when we do up, down, I'm taking my down movement and splitting it into two movements. So I don't want to go all the way down on the first one because then I won't have anywhere to go on the second. So I go all the way up, arching my lumbar spine as much as I possibly can, and then I'm going halfway down, all the way down. All the way up, half, all the way up, half, half, all the way up. This would be like neutral and then tucked in. So I go all the way up, neutral, tuck, all the way up, neutral, tuck, all the way up, neutral, tuck, all the way up, neutral, tuck. Okay, so let's try that one now with music. Half time, we go. So now we are going to do the natural opposite of that. So we're going to start by going down. So I go tuck, I'm contracting the low pelvis. I feel like I'm pulling my belly button, like if my belly button wanted to face the ceiling. So I go contract, halfway up, all the way up. Contract, half, full. Contract, half, 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 half. And as you can see from the side, these aren't big movements. I've said this in my other twerk tutorials as well. It's not about big movements, it's about clear movements. The more clear you can be about having a stopping point, the better your movements are going to look, okay? So don't think that, obviously when we're on the ground, our range of motion is going to be lessened because we don't have the use of our legs. And that is normal. So like I said, we want to just focus on clarity of movements, okay? So I'm going tuck, up, up, tuck, 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 up. Okay? So now let's try that one with music. 5, 6, ready, and. Okay, so the last movement that we're going to do in today's video is a semicircle to both sides, okay? And this is the only movement that we're going to be doing in today's lesson that actually involves using the rib cage as well as the hips. So if isolating your rib cage and your hips is difficult for you, I recommend that you join my email list. You should join it anyway, but especially if isolating is difficult for you, because on the first email that you'll receive as a participant in my email list is a very detailed isolation lesson that's only available to people who are on my email list. So click the link down below and join my email list so you can get access to that video, especially if isolating the rib cage and the hips is difficult for you. Okay, so the movement is I'm going to be moving my hips and my rib cage in opposition. So if my hips are going back and around, my rib cage is coming forward. And that's precisely what's happening here. So I'm here, and my hips are making a semicircle back, and my rib cage is making a semicircle forward. And I'm stopping when after I reach a semicircle. So I'm not doing a full circle. I'm going half, 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 kind of like swinging back and around and back and around. I'm not doing a full circle because that has a different effect. So I'm going half circle. So as you can see, my hips are going to the left, from the right to the left, and my rib cage is going from the left to the right. They end up on opposite sides. So I'm at a diagonal here, and now I'm going to switch and switch and switch and switch. So in my experience, this type of movement is usually the most difficult for people, obviously, because we're coordinating two different parts of our body, moving in opposite directions. So what I recommend is start with the rib cage. So let's just do the rib cage. Half circle forward, half circle, half circle. So I'm not venturing into the back area of my ribs. I'm only going forward around, forward around. Might help even to put your hands on your rib cage. What you may notice as you do this is that your hips naturally want to respond by going in the opposite direction. Our hips and rib cage don't naturally ever want to go in the same direction. So now we're going to try just the hips. So I'm going half circle back, half circle back, half circle, put the hands on the hips, half circle, and you'll notice it's actually difficult to do this without letting the rib cage go in the opposite direction of the hips. It actually is easier if we allow the rib cage to go forward as our hips go back. Okay, so let's try that now, doing both things together. And actually, so the other point of doing what we just did is to figure out, is it easier for you to think about it as originating from the hips, or is it easier for you to think about it as originating from the rib cage? I teach lots of people, and it's different for everybody. So doing the exercise we just did should help you figure out which one is easier for you, and just do that, okay? So we're gonna go circle, half circle, stop, half circle, stop, half circle, stop, half circle, stop. It may also help you here to put a little bit of pressure into the hands on the tops of the thighs, because that'll help prevent the shoulders from coming up into the ears, which is, as we probably know, a very common tendency that we have, especially when we're thinking really hard. So press into the tops of your thighs, and we go half circle, half circle, half circle, half circle, half circle, half circle, half, and around. Okay, so let's try that last movement now with music. Ready? Go. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Twerk on the Ground tutorial. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Click the little bell so you can see when I upload more stuff like this. Also, make sure that you join my mailing list. Click the link below in the description box. The link below has links to my Patreon page if you want access to exclusive content. That means dance workouts to pop music. That means recorded live classes, quick tips every week. So there's a lot of great content on my Patreon for only $10 a month. So you can check that out. You can join my mailing list. Check out my website, dancedoctoronline.com, as I do have premium recorded courses for you. So if you enjoy my one at a time videos, piecemealing your learning together here, you will love my filmed courses. So check out all that stuff. It's all in my link tree in the description box below. And until next time, keep dancing.